What's up guys, this is Void of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content, and when we are talking about fresh, what is most important is to cover all the major updates. And the latest update has just been released 1 day ago at the 26th of April, which means that we're taking a really fresh look on what has been introduced in the game. We are talking about some of the battlefield improvements, of course the new hero that will be introduced in the game in a couple of days. Jan, if you are going through all these missions, is part of this video as well, and there has been made some adjustments to existing heroes as well as introducing a new item. But all of this is going to be part of this video, and I'm trying to make it as quick as possible so that you get all the important information by just looking at this, and you don't have to read all of the things that are here in this Reddit post where the update has been kind of announced beforehand 3 days ago, and this is the 25th of April when I'm going to talk about it. So first of all, of course, they have done some things about the battlefield improvements. So you've got these kind of lane feature improvements. The game is telling you where to go, and this is indicated even better now in the game because it's going to show you where you need to position yourself, and I think that makes it a lot easier for newer players on the battlefield to find their position, because sometimes it's really confusing and a little bit messed up. So I think that is a really good thing, and it's also shown on the minimap right now. The next thing that they have taken control of is the Spirit Sentinel, which has more gold, health growth is less, maximum health growth is less, and I think that is a good choice because it's just going to tell you that you can defeat it a little bit faster and you will get more gold from it. So Spirit Sentinel is becoming even more valuable. As they say, taking Spirit Sentinel has been hugely rewarding. I mean, yes, it's one of the few sources that actually gives you the chance to have some vision in this kind of game, because we don't have any sort of vision things like trinkets, as you know from League of Legends, are not existing in this kind of game. So it's a really important thing to take into control, and I think it's important to farm these as quickly as possible, especially for the junglers. It's a really nice sort of getting stacks for your jungle items. In terms of minimap clarity improvements, they have just added some more things like might save goal and responding. The capture is now indicated with this kind of animation so that you can actually see on the minimap that people are starting to fight those monsters. Beforehand, that wasn't always that clear. Is someone just kind of standing around trying to get vision on one of these really important monsters? But now it's kind of important and highlighted that people are actually doing something, and there's also a signal on the minimap. The health bar visual has been upgraded, so now you have a clearer understanding on how much health an enemy has, and the tower overdrive visual upgrade has also been introduced in the game, so it's even clearer that you are under siege right now. I think that's kind of, I mean, you know that you are being shot from the tower because your health bar is starting to deplete. But yes, if beginners find that helpful, I think it just adds up to the game. As well as the bounty calculation tweak and Slayer and Dragon debuff tweaks, they have just done some parts to make the game a little bit better in terms of understanding. One of, I think, the most anticipated introductions that they have made is that there is the new hero Jan. There has been a lot about this hero on all the different social media channels, especially on Instagram, where you've got all these kind of videos. So he's some sort of painter that said he has this paintbrush, which is also transformed into some kind of sword. And I haven't really figured out what he's going to do. It seems that he's more sorts of a solo laner or a mage. So we've got we've got all the skills in here. So, and I'm linking this video or this link in the video description below, so you could read through it if you haven't found it on Reddit yet. But just for making things a little bit clearer, he's the genius painter. He can use skills and he's going to stack up marks, and if that accumulates to 2, the next normal attack will be enhanced, which is an effect that we have seen in the past, for example with Joker, who is able to enhance his attacks as well. What is going to do is basically dependent on the last skill that he has cast, so it depends if you have used the skill 1 or the skill 2, and you can see that this is dealing physical damage to a sector area to slow down enemies, and if it's enhanced, he jumps up and thrusts downward, dealing physical damage, knocking enemies up into the air. So you are going to benefit a lot by kind of getting around this passive. So if you manage to deal with this passive, I think he's going to be a lot stronger. He becomes untargetable and dashes in a curved route, dealing damage to enemies in his path. So he's got a movement ability. First is the damage ability, second one is the movement ability. So that's actually a pretty solid kit to start with, and he is going to cast the ultimate crushing mountain. He's going to deal damage to nearby enemies and activates the second move of his ultimate skill. It seems that he has to deal damage to them to unlock this kind of feature. He gains extra penetration, increasing his skill damage. That means he is based on AP, and the enhanced normal attack will contribute to the duration of his ultimate state. He dashes onward, dealing physical damage to the enemies in the area, knocking them up. So it seems like this hero has actually been a lot about crowd control. So he's got damage on the one hand, but he's got some crowd control mechanics on the other hand, and I'm really looking forward to playing him for the first time, because that sounds actually quite appealing, what he's bringing to the battlefield, and I can't wait for my hands to get finally a grip upon Jan to find out if he is the next Yue. He's going to be super overpowered or quite broken, or if he's just another hero that will end up at the bottom of my playlist. So this is the new hero that has been introduced to the game with the new update. Next on is that they have done something for the combat mechanics. So for example, fully upgraded skills indicators of all heroes. So if you take that, for example, you will get this kind of indicator here. So that changed a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of visual effects. For example, fully upgraded fonts and animations for digits of damage dealt, gold earned, and some stuff like that. So yes, this is going to be helpful in terms of you get more information throughout the game. I just hope that with all these informations they don't overdo it, that we will have all these numbers popping up on our screens and we can't really focus on the battle anymore, but we are going to see for ourselves how this is going to affect the game. So HP Restore Preview is added, so for these skills you will have a preview which hasn't been in the game before. Existing buffs will be presented as icons, so for example you will see something like that. I think that's actually quite confusing because the list is quite huge. So you've got armor and magic defense increase, you've got armor and magic defense decrease, so that's a lot of information that you will get from the existing buffs included. We need to sort out if that's actually helpful or if this is some kind of effect that they thought it might be helpful, but in the end it just turns out that it's not really going to be beneficial for the gameplay and the game flow at all. But yeah, they have introduced it, so we need to take that into account. Activate the passive skill with priorly displayed in color, so that's also something that they have been introducing in the game. So even passive skills are now affected by some sorts of visual skills, and as you can see, skill equipments involved is another thing that they have added to the game. And I just hope that this is going to clarify some of the things so that you know better what source of damage is actually incoming towards your own hero, and this is not something that's completely overdone and we've got all the information and it's looking like a bright candy store and no one's able to play the game anymore because it's just numbers on a screen, especially on the mobile screens, which are quite limited in their spaces. I'm really curious how this turns out, if that's actually helpful or if it's just something that wasn't really needed, no one really asked about it, but they have just put it to the game no matter what the community was about to say. So also some fundamental logic, but I think these are actually quite interesting. So Science Effect will no longer be able to cancel any normal attack. I think that wasn't really something that people were actually dealing with or trying to put into place, but now that it is done, it might just change different normal attack sequences. Improved enemy detecting behaviors of wildlings will provide junglers with a better experience. That's just a sentence. I'm sorry, but this is just something, yeah, you have put it in here, but is that really going to be beneficial for our overall game experience? We are going to see for ourselves as we provide more experience about the whole battle enhancements that they have just applied to the game with the new patch. Skill demonstration system is added to the hero details interface as a quick learning method outside of a real-time match. Well, not really taking anything about that anymore, because that's, as they already said, it's not a real-time match. In-game strategic communications, that's actually a cool thing that they have just extended the new signals, or the signals that have already been in the game, by new things. For example, enemy invading jungle. I think that is a really necessary thing that we have been waiting for quite a long time. Enemy missing in lane, enemy low on HP. So this is some valuable information that they have actually put into the game, which just makes things a lot clearer, especially the things that enemy flicker is on cooldown. I don't think that I'm going to ever post enemy Arctic Orbs on cooldown, but to indicate that the flicker is out if you, for example, are the solo laner and you're fighting against another hero who has taken the flicker talent, that's actually some really valuable information for your jungler, because it makes ganks just a lot more successful if you know that flicker is on cooldown and you can gank without having the fear of enemies just flickering back under tower. So this is pretty cool. I really like it. They've then added some things like wait up option, observer mode, season tracker, friend recommendation, all the new things that they have just introduced in the games with the last patches. Placement match removal, I don't even know what that means. New tutorials on the training camp, no one really needs that if they have played the game. Especially the hero guidance. Yes, I mean, we are playing the games for 3,000, 5,000 games. This is something that beginners might appreciate, but for us, for all the long time players, it's not really putting anything new to the game, so we'll take it. It's fine. In terms of the balance tweaks that they have just been introducing on the heroes, Arya, we would like to see a more consistent level of performance. Thank you, but how is this going to be executed with Arya among both top tier professionals and ordinary players? I think Arya was a really strong support. She's been able to just kind of make things a lot better, especially if she is hanging around with, for example, really strong tank heroes, the junglers or the mages. I have an upcoming gameplay with the 35 patch where you can see Necroth accompanied by Arya, and the game is just going to be insanely broken because this match is made for heaven. Necroth in a team with Arya, and Arya is consistently bodyguarding Necroth is just insane. It's another sort of gameplay. So what they did is that they added, when possessing an ally, the shield amount will be reduced, but the shield duration is increased, which is fine because it just means that the shield is going to be a little bit less powerful, just the duration is a little bit longer, and the slowdown effect during the transfiguration will be removed. I think that is something that we really needed, because slowing down enemies and dealing crowd control effects to the enemies is something that is actually changing the game, because you need to build around it, and I think that is warmly welcome. All in all, I don't know if these two adjustments are actually making Arya less powerful, or if she's just continuing to be a really strong support, especially for strong solo laners, mages and junglers. So is this just some kind of, yes guys, we have seen that there's a problem and we're going to do something about it? Or is this something that is really going to affect the games in the favor of the team that's playing against Arya? We are going to see for ourselves. Next hero that that has been tweaked in terms of the balance is Astrid. And this made me completely jiggle when I read it before a couple of days ago. Astrid is overpowered among junglers. In what kind of world? In what kind of world is Astrid an overpowered jungler? I don't really see this because her kit is overall not really that strong, but what they did now is that they have tweaked her passive, so when choosing wildlings as a target, the cooldown reduction will only be 50% instead of the 100 or whatever it was. So I don't really know. Was that necessary? Is that something that a lot of players have been asking about? Because Astrid was so strong, especially in the higher ranks. I highly doubt it. The next tweak, which is basically a nerf, I think is highly appreciated. As the designer stated, Thorn is slightly too strong in performance, and that's something that I would agree 100%. So what they've done is taken some physical bonus from his attack damage that he gets from 1.0 to 0.8. I think that's already a good sign, and they have changed the overall effects from the purple bullet. So it's going to be a little less effective, which total attack damage, so it's not bonus attack damage, but the total attack damage when choosing wildlings as a target, they have just tweaked it down a little bit from 40 to 20 and 80 to 40%. So it's basically just half. I think that's a good sign. And the green bullet is taking extra damage to some sorts of scaling thing, and I think that's actually quite needed. Thorn was really powerful lately in the games, and he was able to dominate team fights as a hyper carry, and I think it's a good sign that they have both touched skill 1 and skill 2 in order to make him a little bit more handleable from bonus attack damage to total attack damage, and I think that's something that might just put him a little bit more into the position of an A tier hero and not an S tier hero anymore. But of course, we need to check out how the builds are going to change, because of course it's all about the builds and the individual skill set of a player. I think if you are a really good AD carry player, this is not really affecting your game's style. It's just making you a little bit slower in terms of dishing out damage. But overall, Thorn is still going to be a really powerful AD carry, even with all these changes in place. Next hero, and that's so nice to see it, because I've got a Vero video upcoming for you in a couple of days where we are playing still the old Vero, and I can't wait to test the new Vero. He has been a bland hero, and that's something that I can totally agree with, because it's basically this champion that no one really plays. He's not really that unique in terms of his skill sets, and what they want to do is they want to elevate his skill damage so that he is more comfortable with a typical tank build, and I think that's really needed, because when you play him as a true warrior, he kind of struggles against other tank choices or warrior choices when played in the solo lane, and especially the focus on the tank build makes him a lot better, or a lot more reasonable in terms of taking him as a support, because otherwise he doesn't really have a meaning. Solo lane or tank lane, or like support lane, are the two choices of the two positions that he can actually fit into, and I think to make him a little bit more viable in those places might just guarantee him a little bit more playtime on the battlefield. I just hope that this is going to be a side effect on the new buff. So passive, they kind of changed the passive. Upon lethal damage, it basically says complete the same, immediately restore 60%, immediately restore 60%. health upon lethal damage. Okay, removed every mark touched by teammates will restore 10%, so that's not really a buff, that's making things worse. But what they did is that they have guaranteed now some max health scaling, or some max health additional damage when he uses his enhanced attacks on his first skill. So I think that's actually pretty nice, because it's going to give you the same base damage that you have been doing already, but now it's going to affect the health of the enemy you're fighting with 2%, 2%, and 4%, which is huge. And they have now changed every enemy hero hit will provide a 25 bonus attack speed, making it to 40 bonus attack speed flat, so you don't have to get a lot of heroes into this kind of skill, and that's especially helpful if you're fighting one-on-one in the early game, so you get 40% bonus attack speed. That's actually quite nice. Omega hasn't really been influenced that much. The only thing that they've done is to take the initial cooldown from 9 seconds to 8 seconds. Okay, it's just a number that they put down in some data sheet, but yeah, maybe that might be helpful. Next one is that they have fixed Moran because of those tweaks, so the interval bug fix and the cooldown skill all levels is going up a little bit, which I don't really see because Moran is not really one of those powerful marksman choices, but so be it. So they have done it a little bit up. Okay, down the frequency of the skill 1. I mean, that was his bread and butter skill, but we're going to see if that works out. I've got a Moran game for you as well with the old Moran, so you will find some kind of changing in here. And last but not least, the hero that they've touched is Wisp, so they added something to the passive, so she's dealing 50% damage towards wildlings instead of 100%, and they added 2 times of damage from one normal attack and only trigger orb effect passive for once. So that just means that they have made her a little bit worse. I don't really see these kind of changes because in the Platinum and Diamond region, where I am actually playing the game, this is not really kind of something that I wanted to see. Wisp is not a force I need to recon with because she is basically not existent in the games that I played, but for you higher Elo players that might just be something that you read and you get to know in this video and you're like, finally Wisp is just dealing 50% to the wildlings. I don't know about that. Most important, that they have now introduced a new bow. I think it's a bow, which is the Dawnbreaker with 50 attack speed, 50 attack damage, attack speed, and critical rate with a unique passive puncture. So you will get additional armor penetration. I think that's actually quite nice to just remove the Bow of Slaughter and get something which is actually providing some critical rate as well as some armor penetration besides Muramasa. So I think that's actually really nice, especially because the range heroes will get this kind of effect as well. This is doubled, so it's 50 extra damage, but it's doubled, and with a little cooldown, but 100 damage. I'm gonna take it. And leading up to the Dawnbreaker is the new equipment Bow of Chaos, so you need to build that first, and you're going to build that into the Dawnbreaker. And Bow of Slaughter has also been nerfed a little bit, so it has been tweaked. So the price has went down a little bit, but the attack damage has been decreased, as well as the critical rating, as well as the gloves, which are now a little bit pricier. But on the other hand, the critical rate has been scaled down from 12% to 8%, which is a real bummer because that item wasn't crazily powerful, but of course, to make all these changes work, they had to do this in order to take the Bow of Slaughter. I think Bow of Slaughter is a reminiscence of the past. Not many heroes are actually taking it anymore because of the lifelink changes that they have been introduced in some of the former patches, but we can't change it. I don't think that this item is going to be crazily taken in the game, but we're going to see if this is true. So jungler equipment tweak, Soul Reaver has now been going back up to the times when it was really powerful, because the damage boost cooldown is now reduced from 20 seconds to 12, which is a huge increase. So they finally learned that the nerf that they have applied in one of the former patches is actually quite crippling the junglers. So this is really welcome, especially because I love to play Zill in the jungle, so thanks for adjusting it. And the Leviathan is going from armor. Armor is decreased, but max HP is going to get up. So yeah, whatever. People are taking armor penetration, so I'm going to take the max HP instead. There has been some mode improvements. For example, for the Abyssal Crash and all these sorts of things. Well, that's just some sort of information, and I think most of the people has already seen it. There has been a model texture upgrade or some sort of visual overhaul. So this is the new Alistair, this is the new Roxy, this is the new Telenas, this is the new Vera, and this is the new Arthur, with the new Zephyrus and the new Crixie. And I think this looks a lot more like some sort of anime characters. It's kind of developing itself in some sort of way, making things a little bit cuter, and I don't really see where this is going, because I actually like the old design, but well, they're just going to put it in the game. I can't do anything against it. Maybe a petition is going to stop them, but I'm not digging those. To be fair with you, it's not something that I've been waiting for, and I've seen it before on Instagram, and I was like, what the hell? Arthur looks like a little child right now. He's like, is that a teenager? He's not a king. He's about to be king in 20 years or something like that. So, oh my goodness. Yeah, Zephyrus, I don't know. I like the old Zephyrus. Crixie is actually quite cute, but yeah, they've done a lot of bug fixes here as well, or a couple of bug fixes. So I think overall, to get some kind of result here, I think some of the changes are actually quite good. For example, the river change is something that I really welcome to the game, as well as the Thorn nerf. The other balance tweaks are sometimes a little bit questionable, at least from my perspective, because I actually think, where did this come from? Who has asked for it? Was this really helpful? I appreciate the adding of the new Dawnbreaker into the item section, but most of all, it's about some tweaks around the battlefield, and I think we're going to see if that is just popping numbers or we can actually benefit. And of course, introducing Yarn to the game is something that I've been waiting for. I've seen him months ago on some of the spoiler YouTube channels, so I was waiting for him to make an entrance to the battlefield, and I can't wait to play him. So tell me what you think about the new update in the comments below. The comment section is free to use, and if you appreciated this kind of content and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'm doing this on a regular basis, so every single time a new patch has been released, I'm going to do a complete overview of what has been changed, and I'm going to share my thoughts with you. So if you dig this kind of content, thumbs ups are really appreciated, because it helps me to grow the channel. And of course, if you've got something to say, as I said, use the comment section below. So last but not least, have a nice evening, have a good time on the battlefield, don't be mean to other people, and stay as healthy as possible. Bye bye.